You know, when you hear the name Benjamin Franklin, you probably think of, well, a guy from a history book, right? A founder, an inventor. But what if his wisdom wasn't just trivia? What if it was more like a powerful operating system you could install for your own life? That's what we're going to do today. We're going to decode that system, and it all starts with one core idea.
Okay, so this one idea, it's the bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about. It's all about shifting from just, hoping things turn out okay, to actually building the future you want brick by brick. This isn't about wishing on stars, it's about getting to work.
So, to really get a handle on this code, we're going to break it down into 3 core pillars, and they build on each other, which is pretty cool. First up, you need the raw material. That's your time. Then, you need an engine to actually do something with it. That's diligence. And finally, you need the fuel to make that engine run smarter and faster. And that fuel? It's knowledge.
All right, let's dive into that first pillar, mastering your time. I mean, think about it. Before you can do anything big, you have to get a grip on the one resource you can't get more of. It's the one thing money can't buy.
And that really brings us to the fundamental question, right? Franklin's whole point was that you have a choice every single morning when you wake up. Are you going to take charge of your day, or are you going to let the day, with all its distractions and other people's emergencies, take charge of you? And this is what makes it so powerful. The finality of it all. You just can't get it back. Every single hour that slips away is a piece of your life, a piece of your potential that's just gone. Poof, forever. Now, the point isn't to make you anxious, but to give you a sense of urgency, because the stakes, they're incredibly high. So this really shows the 2 ways you can live. You're either in one state or the other. Like Franklin said, either you govern your time or it will govern you. It's that simple. Being reactive feels like you're constantly behind, just trying to catch up. He had this great saying for it. He that rises late must trot all day. But when you're proactive, whoa, you're the one in the driver's seat. You move with purpose. Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually make that switch? How do you go from being a slave to your schedule to being its master? Well, Franklin gives us this super simple but incredibly powerful antidote to procrastination, which, let's be honest, is the #1 thief of our time. This isn't just about ticking boxes on a to-do list. It's about building momentum and taking back control of right now. So at the end of the day, mastering your time isn't really about having the fanciest apps or the most complicated productivity system. It's about a fundamental recognition that your time is the raw material you're using to build your future. And the discipline you practice today, that is literally shaping the life you're going to have tomorrow. Okay, see how this is all starting to connect? Mastering your time opens up the space, it gives you the opportunity, but that's just step 1. It doesn't guarantee a single result. And that brings us perfectly to pillar number 2. The engine that turns all that time and opportunity into actual achievement. We're talking about diligence. So this is the next logical question we have to ask ourselves, right? Let's say you've done it. You've carved out these pockets of focused time. Now what? How do you make sure that time doesn't just disappear, but instead turns into something real, something you can actually look at and say, yeah, I made that? Man, I absolutely love this quote, because it just completely flips the whole idea of luck on its head. Franklin was convinced that what most people call good luck is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's the part you see. What you don't see is all the consistent, hard work bubbling just below the surface. You don't just wait around for opportunities to fall on your lap. Your diligence creates them. And it's really important to get this. For Franklin, diligence was not the same as just being busy. It's about consistent, intelligent effort. It's about showing up day in and day out, especially on the days you don't feel like it, and pointing your energy in a smart, focused direction. It's literally about creating the conditions where success can't help but find you. This is such a great way to picture how diligence actually works. Franklin used to say, little strokes fell great oaks. Think about that. You don't take down a giant oak tree with one massive swing. You do it with thousands of small, seemingly insignificant little chops. Each one on its own doesn't look like much, but when you repeat them over and over, their power becomes absolutely unstoppable. That's how you achieve huge goals. You have to remember, Franklin was a super pragmatic guy. He wasn't moved by big ideas or fancy promises. He cared about one thing. What did you actually do? As he said, well done is better than well said. I mean, the world is full of amazing ideas, right? What's rare, what's truly special, is the diligence to actually see them through. And this quote, this just perfectly wraps up this whole pillar. It's not just about having a burst of energy at the start. We all have that. It's about pairing that energy with persistence,
that stubborn refusal to give up when things get tough. Franklin was sure that that combination, well, it's pretty much invincible.
Okay, so let's recap. You've got your time under control. You've got the engine of diligence fired up and running. Now it's time for our final pillar. And this one? This is the multiplier. This is the secret sauce that makes every hour you spend and every ounce of effort you put in exponentially more powerful.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What's the one investment you can make that guarantees the highest possible return? Stocks can go to zero, real estate values can plummet, but there is one thing, one asset, that once you have it, can never be taken from you and only grows over time.
And right here, Franklin gives us the answer. No ambiguity, no hesitation. Investing in yourself, in your own knowledge, your own skills, your own understanding of the world is hands down the most profitable move you can ever make. It is the ultimate asset. Let me put it this way. Look, other investments go up and down with the market, right? But the knowledge you gain, that compounds inside you. It doesn't just add to what you know. It actually multiplies the effectiveness of everything else you do. So that's great in theory, but how do you actually make that investment? Well, Franklin gives us a pretty straightforward guide. First, you have to be humble enough and curious enough to learn from absolutely everyone. Second, you have to commit to a life of continual growth. Always be progressing. And finally, don't just be a consumer of knowledge, be a contributor. Either live a life that's worth writing about or share wisdom that's worth reading.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've walked through the 3 pillars of Franklin's code, and now you can really start to see how they lock together to form this complete philosophy for creating the life you actually want to live.
And here it is, the formula. It's so simple, but it's also incredibly profound. You take back control of your time, you apply consistent, intelligent effort with diligence, and you supercharge the whole process with a constant investment in knowledge. And the result? It's not just about success in the typical sense. It's about building a life of real meaning and purpose. And this is really the ultimate goal of the whole system. It's a lifelong project, you know? The real goal is just constant improvement, battling your own weaknesses, being a good neighbor, and just making sure that every year you're a little bit better, a little bit wiser than you were the year before.
So when it comes right down to it, this isn't just some interesting historical information. It's a program, a literal operating system for a better life. We've just gone over the code, line by line. So the only question left is, how are you going to run it?